Alright, what is up guys, and today we start our new series going over every single class and spec on how to beat them in Arena. So, before we get into this video, just want to give a quick notice that if you want to see any classes sooner than later, go ahead in the comments and let me know what class you want to see next, and I'll be sure to work on the most popular choices first before we get to any of the other ones. That being said, let's get into the video. Alright, first let's give a quick overview on Frost Death Knights. Frost Death Knights excel in AoE damage and anti-zoning, making them very strong against casters. The burst options are AoE oriented, and they will always be looking to hit multiple targets at once to get the most out of their burst. They have great anti-zoning tools, great slows, and have ways to counter enemy bursts even if the opponent is already in the process of doing one. They have all of this while dealing impressive damage. In this guide, we're going to teach you how to beat a Frost Death Knight in an arena or PvP setting, so let's begin by looking at their main opener. Frost DKs are going to be looking to do two things in the beginning of the match, one being their AoE burst option that we're going to go over in just a moment, but another is going to be to hard counter your opening burst by using BlindingSLE. BlindingSLE is a crucial ability to look out for anytime you start your own burst rotation. This spell can stop you in your tracks mid-burst and have you wandering on the battlefield for up to 5 seconds while your buffs are slowly ticking away. It wouldn't be a bad idea as a DPS to save your trinket for when they use this while you're in the middle of your burst. If you're a class like a warrior, blade storming before they can get this off can be a massive advantage for you. Since BlindingSLE is on a 1-minute cooldown, being able to save your trinket could be a game changer. If a DK uses this ability while you aren't going for any big damage, it might be wise to let the duration take its course. You aren't in any jeopardy in taking big damage since doing notable damage will break the stun. If they do end up going for anything big, you will have time to escape or pop defensive cooldowns as soon as it breaks. Healers, be wary. If casted on you, since the stun has a long duration, it may be a sign that they're going for a big burst on your DPS, and you need to have situational awareness of when to wait out the duration based on your team's defensive cooldowns, or use your trinket. BlindingSLE is a very versatile CC, and it's up to you to read the situation and understand what they're trying to set up when they use this ability. Moving on to their main burst option, when the Frost DK is ready for their full burst, you will need to look out for Empowered Rune Weapon, followed by Pillar of Frost. These two abilities combined are going to raise a DK's haste with Empowered Rune, and their damage with Pillar of Frost. They don't share a cooldown, so save your big defensive cooldowns when you see both pop at the same time, or one after another. If they are using just Pillar of Frost mid-match, you may be better off saving your big cooldowns until you see both. The last ability that will soon come to follow will be Frostworm's Fury. This is a big damaging move that when buffed by previous abilities can be game changing in the favor of the DK's team. This is the ability that you will want to pop your defensive cooldowns before it hits or use your mobility options to escape to ensure that you and your team don't get cleaved. So to sum it up, in the beginning of the match, look for when the DK pops Empowering Rune followed by Pillar of Frost. And that should be your cue to pop your defensive cooldowns, knowing that the Frostworm's Fury is coming soon. While the DK sets this up, he will be using Death Grip and multiple slows to trap you and other teammates in melee range. If you are a class that can escape this successfully by intelligently kiting away, this would be the time to blow your mobility cooldowns, like a Warlock's Portal for example. Denying the DK's ability to cleave your teammates is one of your major first steps to ensure that your team is heading on the path to victory. The last offensive ability I want to go over is Frost Fever. This is a disease spell that the DK will try to keep on all targets, and it does a very good amount of damage over time. If you are a class like a Paladin or Shaman, take advantage in dispelling this when you get the chance to. The DPS over time can really rack up, and if you can consistently stop the DK's burst on top of dispelling his disease, you're going to massively minimize the Frost DK's overall damage in the arena. I mentioned before that DKs are strong against casters, and this is for multiple reasons. The first being Death Grip, an ability that we just went over that will grab you and pull you towards the Death Knight. You not only need to look out for this ability when the Death Knight is setting up its cleave against you and the main target, but it's an excellent anti-zoning tool as well. The Death Knight will use this ability to pull you in, stack slow debuffs on you and your teammates, and be able to set up big cleave damage. Other notable defensive abilities that are strong against casters are Anti-Magic Shell and Anti-Magic Zone. Keep these abilities in mind while you are applying magic DPS to the DK. The durations aren't very long, but they negate a huge portion of your damage. You may want to temporarily switch targets, or at least make sure you aren't using any of your big buttons while the DK has either of these up, especially the Anti-Magic Shell. Now, for all classes, some other notable defensive abilities to look out for are Icebound Fortitude, an ability that will mitigate all incoming damage to you by 30%. It makes the Death Knight immune to stuns as well. This is something you need to be conscious about while setting up your stuns and burst. With BlindingSLE being able to waste your buff's duration and Icebound Fortitude being able to eat your stun, this has the potential to completely negate your burst and really give the enemy team the momentum they need to win the match. The last abilities of note would be Lichborne, Death Coil, and Death Strike. All abilities that heal the Death Knight over time, and Lichborne being one that make the DK immune to Fear, Sleep, and Charm. Something to look out for, especially if you're a class like a Warlock. In the background I have all the main takeaway points of the video, so you can pause and reference it as needed. My goal was to keep this video short and easy to understand for all players. I want to keep the door open for a part 2, so we can have the option to come back to this once we finish all the other classes. So for now, consider this part 1, and possibly look forward for a longer, more in-depth guide for this matchup in the future. Thanks for watching.